Welcome everybody to the 222nd episode of the Focus TV. Join as always, right? Big number day. Octavia Wyatt. We got Raymond Lyons, who's at the ESA. Cardell Dudley Jr. Wilson Tarver Jr. Again. Welcome to the Focus TV this week. Got a lot to get through, as you can see. Ray is in the gym. The Mystics taking on the Sun. Home stretch of the season. If you guys have been keeping up with us on Mystics Outlook, you guys already know the deal. For those of you who only really see us on Tuesdays, Ray, please let everybody know, what the Mystics have on their plate, especially with tonight, dealing with Connecticut.
Yeah, man. So basically, every game is a must-win for the Mystics at this point. They're literally fighting for their playoff lives right now. It's never good to have to be facing one of the best teams in the league when you're in the state, but it is what it is. They're down 8 right now at the half. They were down 26-16 at one point, but the starters came back in and fought back and tied it up at 28. But Connecticut was able to regain control of the game. The Mystics, they started with good energy and execution, but one thing that's been hampering them all season is the lack of bench production. And then when the subs started to filter in, that's when Connecticut started to assert themselves. Connecticut, their front line is huge, and their length presents a big problem with John Quill, Brianna Jones, and DeWanna Bonner. So that's been causing issues for the Mystics. On offense, Connecticut's been keeping it simple. They've been going to John Quill a lot. She got 21-6 right now in the first half. It says that's normal business for her. So I don't think anybody's shocked about that. But the Mystics, they've been fighting. They've been defending. They've been active. They got to have active hands and be aggressive to kind of negate Connecticut's size and their length. But like I said, once the subs started coming for the Mystics, they lost control of the game, and then they had to fight back later on. But Connecticut, they regained control. They're up 8. Some things that's been hurting the Mystics, even talking about their live ball turnovers, and I can remember at least 3 that led directly to points for Connecticut. So if you cut that out, then this is a 2-point game instead of an 8-point game. So they just got a couple things to clean up in the second half. They're not in a bad spot. They're fighting, they're competing, but they just got to take care of the little things. Their room for error is not large. So they got to play a virtually perfect game here in the second half to come back and get the win.
You kind of touched on it already about what has to be done in the second half. Seeing as obviously one of the things clearly, as you mentioned, would be bench production. How pivotal is like the first few minutes of this third quarter? And again, for those of you that's been with us on Mystics Outlook, it's kind of something they've been going through recently.
Yeah, man, third quarters have not been kind to them, so they need to come out with great energy, the same energy they start the game with. And really, they just got to make some shots. That was part of the problem when they started to fall behind. Their shooting trailed off a lot. They were able to keep pace early on offensively with Connecticut. But then when the rim got a little tight on them, and then that on top of the turnovers, Connecticut was able to kind of stretch the lead out a little bit. So I'm sure Coach T is talking to him in the locker room right now about that. But third quarters have been doing it in recently. So they just got to come out with good energy, be positive, and execute. I think they'll be all right. So if they can keep pace early and make it a game for as long as they can, I think they got a shot. But if they come out flat and Connecticut's able to start rolling, it's been mostly John Quill right now. They got a lot of other capable players. DeWanna Bonner, she's just kind of been playing a role and just taking it easy. If she starts to heat up as well, then it's going to be an issue. So the Mystics definitely got to make sure they come out and they're able to keep pace.
Look, man, the Sun are where they are in the standings for a very good reason. Cardell dubbed his MVP front runner like a couple weeks into the 2020 season. So we're not shocked, and she's making that man look like a prophet right now. So not shocked. You said 21-6 for John Quell. And the other thing, Brianna's come on this year too. So like you said, when the rest of the folks get rolling, like you said, Washington better take advantage before the whole train gets moving. And Again, Connecticut's Connecticut for a reason. But we look forward to talking with you a little bit later on Mystics Outlook. Thank you for checking in with us. All right, Octavia. Look, man, we're pretty much here. I know you geeked. I know you excited. Today was like a tough and happy day at the same time, as football fan, because like you want to know who's on your team, your favorite team's 53, but at the same time, it also means people lost jobs. So it's one of those tough days. That said, the NFL stands for not for long and whatnot. The third week of preseason is over. How you feel about your division?
I feel like although we say third week of preseason is over, preseason is over, done. There's no more fourth week. It is a wrap for preseason. This week is essentially an early bye for every team, having to have mandatory days off before the season starts. On Thursday with the Cowboys, next Thursday with the Cowboys versus the Bucks. I will leave one notable release and cut alone. We will get into that later. This person, of course, is not an NFC East, but I'm sure we'll talk about it. I'm going to keep it kind of brief a little bit this week, again, because preseason is preseason. Again, I feel like the more that they get used to having 3 games for preseason going forward, we'll kind of get more into a rhythm of who plays, who doesn't play. So just to kind of go through the scores for you guys. This week, everybody in the NFC East lost or didn't win. Which is so NFC East like. So I'm not even surprised. Washington football team lost to the Baltimore Ravens 37-3. The Cowboys lost to the Jaguars 34-14. The Giants lost to the New England Patriots 22-20. And the Philadelphia Eagles, the only team that I feel like can do this, tied with the New York Jets 31-31. Just some notable things that happened in the games. It was nice to finally see Daniel Jones get a little bit of playing time in the preseason. He ended up on the ground quite a bit, which is probably some of the reasons that a majority of the people that were cut from the Giants today were on the offensive line. Offensive line still looks really, really bad. It's a little concerning for them if, Saquon's coming back off of an injury. They may want to get that together, which is why I'm guessing they did cut a lot of that offensive line, but they still have to fill in those positions, and hopefully the people that are remaining will be up to the task to protect Daniel Jones as well as open up some running room for Saquon Barkley, who at this point, it seems like he's likely, closer to getting on the actual field soon. Again, we know that we have another week before games actually start. But just to kind of go over just a couple of notable players that have been cut by the Giants. Again, today was the final cut down day. Everybody's roster had to get to 53 men at 4 or 4:30 today. I can't remember exactly which one. Some notable cuts that I was actually a little bit surprised at. Corey Clement got cut by the Giants. He ultimately lost his position to rookie Gary Brightwell. Wide receiver David Sills, who I feel like had a pretty decent showing as far as a wide receiver for the Giants. He also was cut. They are, for lack of a better term, kind of stacked. They're not really stacked, but they have good wide receivers in the position. So it just seems like maybe if he got some more work on special teams, he might have had a better shot of making the team. I could see him coming back on the practice squad if they're able to solidify that for him. Another wide receiver, Damian Willis, was also cut, who was also the team's highest graded performer in the New England Patriots game. So that was a little bit surprising. Quarterback Brian Lucre, again, can't say his last name. He was also cut. So he will not be in the quarterback room with Daniel Jones. But again, they had a lot of offensive linemen that were cut. It was literally too many for me to name at this point. But some of the biggest notable one was Jonathan Harrison. They said that was truly the first surprise of the cut downs for them. He had played pretty well all season, so it was kind of surprising that he was cut. But 53 spots, everybody's not going to be able to make the team. Maybe he ends up somewhere else. So the Giants still have a lot to work on. We can see, like I said, Daniel Jones ended up on the ground a lot. Only in the few series that he played, he threw an interception. He did take ownership and said that he held the ball too long, but he looked like he was running for his life for those 3 possessions. So they should be a little bit worried. Now I understand why they didn't really have him playing in a lot of preseason games, is who knows what would have happened to him by now. Moving on to Washington football team, some of the notable cuts that I was a little bit surprised about. Peyton Barber was cut from them. We know that they have, some good running backs with Antonio Gibson. Also, Jared Patterson was able to make the team, so he did not get cut. So it just seems like they just didn't have enough room for Peyton Barber in this situation. He's, he's a vet. Maybe he gets picked up somewhere. We know that the Baltimore Ravens are looking for some running back help at this point. So maybe he'll end up the road. Also, Antonio Gandy Golden was also cut. He was definitely better this year than he was in 2020. But again, they also have some good depth at the wide receiver position as well. So I can understand why they went that way. Again, Curtis Samuels never even got on the field. So they probably have some people ahead of him. Again, maybe he ends up on another position. Jimmy Moreland was actually probably the biggest surprise. Rivera seemed to really enjoy the defensive spark that he brings to them, but he did not make the team, which, again, is probably the most surprising for me. I was surprised that he didn't make the team and that it wasn't for him this year. So a little bit surprising on that aspect. But again, there's plenty of other people that are going to be on the team for them. They have everybody's pretty much pulling that they think the Washington football team might win the NFC East, but as we know, it does not take much to win the NFC East. So we will have to see how that works out for them this year. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. Again, they lost to the Jaguars this past week. And just quick note, Trevor Lawrence actually looked good in his play in that game. He was into a really good rhythm. So again, that leaves me questions, not so much about him, but so much about the Cowboys defense. We know how talented they are on offense. To me, defense is going to be their Achilles heel, and see if they're going to be able to turn it around. Because again, we know how terrible they were last year. I can go ahead and say terrible. Terrible was the word. But just some people that got cut. We know that they had a very big, large, and crowded quarterback room with Dak, Ben DiNucci, Garrett Gilbert, Cooper Rush. There are only two now. Ben DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert were both released, cut from them today. Isaac Alarcon, offensive line, was also cut. He's on an IPP exemption. Who else? Another surprise for me was Jaquan Hardy. Watching him in the Hard Knocks, I thought that he would be a good, solid backup for them, behind Zeke, of course, behind Tony Pollard, of course, but he did not make the team. Some other wide receivers, Osiris Mitchell, Brandon Smith, and Johnny Dixon also did not make the team. That does not surprise me. You want to talk about a team, again, I say that they have a really good offensive roster, I will say, and wide receiver is probably their strongest position with Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and, of course, CeeDee Lamb. So not really so surprised about that, but again, cuts have to happen, and it's part of the way the world works. Last but not least, Philadelphia Eagles, again, tied with the Jets 31-31 on a Hail Mary in the last second of the game after Michael Jaquette intercepted, stripped the ball, whatever, and because he doesn't have common football sense, it seems, instead of getting down and running the clock out and they would have won the game, he decided to run for a touchdown. Running for a touchdown only put them up by 8, and they did a Hail Mary, and it worked. And then they scored a 2-point conversion to score. I honestly believe that was a play that got Michael Jaquette the third cut. So he has been released. Probably the best news that I ever heard as far as cuts, your man Nick Mullins got cut. Hallelujah.
He's on the Browns already.
I don't know. Huh?
He's already on the Browns. My man's agent is
Congratulations. Go back there, back up Baker. Hopefully you don't have to see the field for them, because they are calling for so many great things for the Browns this year. Hopefully that doesn't mess them up, because if anything happens to Baker and Nick Mullins go in, cut the season. It ain't happening. But Nick Mullins was released. Also, in the process of Nick Mullins being released, Gardner Minshew, coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars, is now a Philadelphia Eagle. There were a lot of rumors swirling around. Does this mean Jalen Hurts is not going to be the starter? But finally, the guy that I call my head coach finally decided to make a decision, has finally named Jalen Hurts as the official starter, as we all knew. I haven't really looked at the depth chart yet, to be completely honest. I could see Gardner, of course, moving past Flacco. Flacco could be the old guy in the quarterback rooms to give, inspiration and quotes and as much help as possible. But I can see Gardner passing him as soon as he gets to learn the playbook. But that was the biggest thing, coming out recently. Some other cuts that happened. Jordan Howard, who has been with Philly before, left, went to Miami and been around a little bit, but came back. He was cut, wasn't expecting that. Elijah Holyfield was also released. Kerryon Johnson was released earlier. So they have got their running backs down to Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. We'll see how that goes. Also, Hassan Ridgeway, he's been on the team for a while as well. He's been cut. Tight end Richard Rodgers, who I will be completely honest, saved a lot of time and effort, and he helped us a lot last year with all of the injuries that we have. So I was surprised that he was cut. They actually kept Tyree Jackson, who was the quarterback, who has changed over to a tight end, but is going to miss a considerable amount of time due to a back injury. So I was concerned of how that worked out. I can imagine him ending up on the practice squad if he does that. I could see Richard Rodgers getting picked up somewhere else where somebody needs some tight end help. Travis Fulgham, another person who came on late. He was on the practice squad last year. He just happened to have an incredible run. Again, when the entire team was injured, we had no wide receivers. He stepped up. Also, John Hightower, I was really, really surprised. But again, the wide receivers are starting to show up. I definitely would have rather keep him than that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside guy. But you know how that goes. They want to protect the pick that they decided to make that crazy time that they did. But just again, had to get down to a 53-man roster. We're getting closer and closer and closer to the start of the season. There's so many other things that happen that I'm sure we'll get into later. Outside of the NFC East, finally have some starters being named around the league. Took some of these coaches entirely too long to do this, but they have finally gotten to that place. And I'm just so excited that we're 1 week closer to the season starting.
Man, I'll tell you, Bobby Knight, NFL analyst, man, she's just ruthless. God.
I don't have no cut cards. As you get paid, I literally, for a long time, I didn't realize how much practice squad players made. I sign me up. Put me on the practice squad. I don't know, because I get paid a lot for that. But I'm just saying, as a whole, yes, I know all of their contracts are not guaranteed in the NFL, but you guys are making a lot of money. I don't have no cut cards. I don't have no sympathy. Get out there and do what you're supposed to do. And if you look terrible, I'm going to say you look terrible. Nick Mullins and everybody else that looks terrible. We got to keep it 100 at this point. And if you prove me wrong, I will eat my words. I promise. So if Nick Mullins goes and balls out on the Browns, I will apologize to him on air.
Come on, Nate Sudfeld. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Also, let me know how Nate Sudfeld works out there in the Bay.
We only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. They didn't keep 3.
So look, it worked out for both of us. I didn't check y'all releases yet. So
there's
it worked out for both
number
of
10
us.
and number 5. Those are the 2 QBs. The one making a whole bunch of money, and the one that just got there. Nate's no longer here. Rosen is in Atlanta. Nick may be in Cleveland. I got my wish of a new QB room. We're almost there. I'm halfway there. 1 person away. And I'm willing to wait a year for it. It's fine.
Almost you got 100%. Now you're trying to get down to 50%, and there's only 2 people in the room. Wonder which one is going to go.
Look, man, I just gotta wait. One got another 4, got at least 3 years before the rookie deal come up. I'm patient. I waited this long for one. It's fine. It's okay. But yeah, I know we're gonna get into some more of them cuts. They're rapid fire. I'm just gonna take a wild guess because some of y'all acted real crazy this morning on social media when someone got cut this morning, where kind of like some things. Yeah, I already know. So we're gonna do our best. Oh man, you see, I don't even want to know now. We're gonna head into our first break. On the other side of the break, Keith has this week's Pac-12 segment. So we'll see you guys after his segment with a 9-4-50 breakdown and some other stuff. So take a quick break. You guys will see Keith up next with this week's Pac-12 segment. Watching the Focus TV. We'll see you very, very soon.
Hello, everybody. Keith is here. I'm back. Today I'm going to be covering Pac-12, a tight end in the Pac-12, our receiver in the Pac-12, and then the upcoming ASU versus Southern Utah game. Let's get right into it. The first receiver I want to talk about, the only receiver I want to talk about is Drake London. Drake London is going to scream up draft boards come the combine and for teams to really get a look for good wide receivers who will make a name for themselves. He wears number 15 if you ever want to watch a USC game and look out for him. He stands at 6'5", and although he's not a separation receiver, man, when I tell you this guy, he's one of the better jump ball guys. When you watch his game, only one name screams at you, and it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans is one of the most decent, or if not the best, jump ball receiver in the NFL. Drake London is an exact replica. He was made right after Mike Evans. It's very impressive to watch him play, and obviously he's young, so you got to give him time. But if he can improve the yards after catch in that part of his game, he will become one of the better receivers and might even scream Megatron potential, because with the way he's able to have jump ball, and then if he's able to go, yards after catch, that would be a very scary combo. Now we're going to talk about the tight end out of Washington, Cade Otton. Cade Otton was named first team all-conference via PFF. He stands at 6'5", 250. He had 2 games over 100 yards this past season. He, due to COVID, all seasons were cut short. So he was forced to do what he had to do in a smaller sample size. But he's looking to excel his draft stock. He's already made a name for himself with coming first team all-conference. That's very impressive, with the Pac-12 being a very difficult conference. I do expect him to have a big season. Now, the quarterback position on his team may be a little shaky, so it might not come out as well, but he definitely will scream once you watch tape for Washington, 100%. The guy you will see is Cade Otton. Now we're going to cover ASU versus Southern Utah this upcoming Thursday. Make sure to watch the game. It's going to be a very great game to watch. A couple players I want everybody to keep their eyes on or to watch on is Jaden Daniels. First, we're going to start with him. He's the quarterback for ASU. He's looking to improve his draft stock this year, and there's a few things I want to have everybody watch out when you watch his game. Obviously, the first thing I want to cover is his arm. When you look at his arm, it's been good, not great, but it's been improving as the years come. If he's able to improve it this year, it will definitely speak a lot for him when it comes to draft scouts, because that's been the main question when it surrounds him, is can he throw the ball? Like you look at DTR Dorian Thompson-Robinson out of UCLA. He had somewhat of a shaky game and his arm didn't look too good, which there's time to improve over the season. But Jaden Daniels is going against I don't want to say bottom tier team, but a lower tier team who just fell to San Jose State 14-45 this past Saturday. So this is a team who he should be able to read the field against, pick apart on defense, and really work on his game to excel and get where he needs to be in order to be a first-round quarterback, which I firmly believe he can. Next, we'll talk about the running back for ASU, Rashad White. He's going to open up the games for Jaden Daniels, and he's looking to work on his draft stock as well. If he can include he can sprinkle in some big runs if he can be the scapegoat for Jaden Daniels on broken down plays when the pressure is all in his face, and he can be a check down resource for him, that will help both Daniels and him, just being that outlet and building that chemistry for this season with them, hoping to have a good season. They need to build that chemistry as a running back and quarterback duo. Jaden Daniels has the ability to run, so if he can run with his running back being the one who does the big runs, they would be a very scary duo to have. Let's go move on to Southern Utah, who I said fell to San Jose State. Justin Miller, their quarterback, had only 117 yards on 29 attempts, but he does look to bounce back from that. He completed 15 of those passes, so obviously it wasn't too good. Not a lot of deep ball game going on there, but that's what multiple games are for. You want to look to improve and to get better, and that's exactly what he wants to do. You got Karis Davis, who only had 5 carries, but on those 5 carries, he did have 7.2 yards per carry, and for this game, he's looking to have a bigger role and to solidify himself as that RB1 on that team. So this is the game to do it. I have ASU winning 56-7. I think ASU is a much better team than San Jose State, who blew them out 14-45. And if San Jose State can do that, I firmly believe third-year Jaden Daniels can lead this team under Herm Edwards and send this team packing. So I have an ASU win 56-7 is my prediction. Book it.
All right, definitely want to thank Keith for this week's Pac-12 segment. Jaden Daniels got a chance to get to see him, maybe last year during draft time a little bit. Was it 2 years ago? I think Ayuk was a rookie last year. So last year, going into last year's draft, he was a youngster throwing the ball out there to Brandon Ayuk. So me over there just being a nerd trying to figure out what my team was drafting. Saw Jaden a lot. Gangly kid, still got a little room to grow. As Keith just mentioned, looking forward to see how he does this year. Keith gets a close personal look at the kid this year. So we'll get great updates for him going into, what should be a big year for him by the end of the season. So, again, shout out to Keith for knocking out this week's Pac-12 segment. Jamal Hayward's back with the 9-4-50 breakdown this week. It's a breakdown of a pump fake, step through, fade shot in the lane. Again, it's a pump fake, step through, fade shot in the lane. That's followed by a second break. And then after that, a little DC United. And y'all saw Cardell with the maniacal smile already. So can't wait to see what he got planned for us a rapid fire, man. We know it's something.
For the layup. So, shot, jab right here. Jab right here. Dribble. Shot fake. Now, the jab is guarding me. The jab goes to the shot fake, right? Now, normally if I do the shot fake and I step through, jab could, if he's a really good defender, which he is, to play the layup with me going here and block my shot. So now, here's the option. Jab right here. Shot fake. Once I step through here and jab moves with me, I plant his left foot, make sure you keep the right foot still. I can fade back. Use the back foot. Yeah, there it is. Here. Other side. Same thing. Jab left, go right. My left foot is the bigger foot. Once I shot fake and I step through, make sure I fade back. Use flash. Okay? So, again, when I step through the right foot, normally the motion is to go for there. The defender can go with you. Once I plant this right foot, I can fade back. Short little jump shot. Let's go. Step through for the layup. So, jab right here. Jab right here. Dribble. Shot fake. Now, the jab is guarding me. The jab goes to the shot fake, right? Now, normally if I do the shot fake and I step through, jab could, if he's a really good defender, which he is, to play the layup with me going here and block my shot. So now, here's the option. Jab right here, shot fake. Once I step through here and jab moves with me, I plant his left foot, make sure you keep the right foot still. I can fade back. Use the back foot. Yeah, there it is. Here. Other side. Same thing. Jab left, go right. My left foot is the pivot foot. Once I shot fake and I step through, make sure I fade back. Use flash. Okay? So, again, when I step through the right foot, normally the motion is to go for left. The defender can go with you. Once I plant this right foot, I can fade back. Short little jump shot. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. Again, special thanks to Jamal Hayward for knocking out the 9-450 breakdown this week. As for DC United, the Black and Red had a huge game at Audi Field on Saturday, hosted the Philadelphia Union, which is ahead of them in the standings. On another note, DC United went to that game in the midst of a 3-game losing streak. And to make matters worse, they hadn't beaten Philadelphia in league play since 2017. Things went a little bit differently this time. In the first 20 minutes, DC United was great. Head coach Hernan Losada said after the game that, you could frame the first 20 minutes. His team was playing beautiful soccer. Only issue for them, again, reoccurring theme, you guys heard me say this so much this year, they just couldn't put any of the chances, the quality chances they had away. Except this time, the Union's keeper, Andre Blake, kind of showed why he's kind of one of the best in the league. He made some outstanding saves early in this one and then a little bit late. Unfortunately for DC United, they would surrender an own goal in the 22nd minute when Alejandro Bedoya's cross bounced off the chest of Steve Birnbaum and into the goal. It took DC some time to get over that goal, as you would expect. Playing that well, it's kind of deflating. It's not basketball where, there's a point every chip up and down. Every trip up and down, you squander opportunities. It kind of weighs on you a little bit. To be at home, everything, the environment's crazy, and to give up that goal, again, with the background I just shared with them, not having beaten Philly in a while, kind of hurt when you gave up one, and when you guys see how they gave it up, definitely just hurt a little bit more. But they did settle down a couple minutes later. Jordi Reyna, who's been playing, he's kind of really found his form. As of late over the past 3 or 4 games. He was taken down in the box in the 33rd minute. No call was made initially. Following a review, it's probably the first time DC United fans were happy to see VAR. After the review, DC United was issued a penalty kick. Ola Kamara stepped up, did what he did best, beats the keeper to provide the equalizer. As you guys going to see this goal very shortly. It's tough. It was a hopeful ball. He tried to cross into the middle of the box, and it just went off Birnbaum's chest, and into the net. Again, just is a tough way to see that one going in. But again, Kamara's goal was his 12th of this season. So, he's been huge for DC United in that regard. Reyna, mentioned him just a little bit ago. He scored in the 49th minute, but that kind of started with Julian Gressel. Placed a perfect ball into the box. Kamara got a head on it. Blake came up with the big save, but Reyna was right there to volley the rebound into the net, gave the home team a 2-1 lead. Blake made several more key saves. The stoppage time, Ramon Abela provided a bit of magic. He closed the door on the Union with his goal. He combined with Felipe for a quick give and go. The ball on his right foot the whole time, received the ball on his right foot, spun with his left, really nice pivot. Basketball coaches would have been proud of this pivot. Kept it on his right foot, took a couple touches, still with his right foot, beat the keeper to the near post, just to kind of really slam the door on a big win. It's an international break this week, so several players will be with their national teams, while others will continue to rest in rehab as a Black and Red look to continue their winning ways when they face the New York Red Bulls on the road on September 11th. It was a really big win. They needed it because, you definitely want a 3-game slide and turn to 4. Especially DC United trying to stay in the playoff race. Heading into that game, they were just above the line. That 3 points with the win over Philadelphia is a little bit of cushion, but still a lot of game left. Like the Mystics, every game is an important game. Folks are trying to make the postseason, so we'll keep you updated in both sports to let you guys know how they do respectively. All right, Cardell, what you got for us in rapid fire, man?
Oh, yeah, we definitely got to get to this one. Oh man, this story, bro. I was like, yeah, on the show. Sunday, ESPN aired a high school football game featuring powerhouse IMG and supposed Ohio powerhouse Bishop Sycamore that was believed to have had multiple D1 football prospects. IMG demolished Bishop Sycamore 58-0, and during the beatdown, announcers said that Bishop Sycamore lied about their football team. Not only did they not have any D1 prospects, they weren't the top-ranked program. The team went 0-6 last season, getting outscored 227-42. Let me say that again, 227-42, with a 56-6 loss to IMG and was already 0-1 this season. That previous loss is where the situation gets even more crazy, as the team's record might have actually been 0-2 entering Sunday. There is documentation of a Bishop Sycamore team playing in Ohio on Friday, 2 days before showdown against IMG. To make matters worse, they're not a normal high school team. Bishop Sycamore is apparently an online-only charter school program not affiliated with the Ohio High School Athletic Association that played its first season 2 years ago. It gets worse. Oh, man. Just bear with me, man. To finish it off, earlier today, Bishop Sycamore football head coach Roy Johnson was let go after it was revealed he had an active warrant out of Delaware, Ohio, and multiple civil lawsuits. The bench warrant for failure to appear in a domestic violence case that was eventually dropped to a criminal mischief charge was issued July 2nd and remains active. Then a Franklin County judge ruled Johnson, former Ohio State Buckeye, Jay Richardson, will go to trial for defaulting on a $100,000 loan issued in April 2018 that was never repaid to First Merchants Bank. ESPN released the following statement to Yahoo as I was reading this report. We regret that this happened and have discussed it with Paragon, which secured a matchup and handles the majority of our high school event scheduling. They have assured us that they will take steps to prevent this kind of situation from happening moving forward. What are your thoughts on this crazy situation? We're going to start with you, Octavia.
What in the actual heck is happening? What is going on? like it was so bad that like people were talking about this at my job today, and I'd be like, I don't even go into work. I'd be like, we are literally typing in group chats all day. Like, have y'all heard about this? That's how crazy it was. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I understand, like, apparently ESPN uses this Paragon, whatever, to coordinate these things, but how do y'all not check this stuff? Like, how do y'all not know? Like, how do you have a game where you guys are saying that there are supposed to be notable D1 potential players? Who are they? Who are they? Like, how do the announcers get prepared for these games if these players are supposed to be notable D1 players?
Not to cut you off, they said they were JUCO dropouts.
That's what I was about to say. And then I heard that they were like all JUCO like dropouts or cuts or whatever. But I don't understand how something like this happens. Then you said that it's an online school. I read reports or I heard things where they were saying like people kept telling them like, oh, you know, school's going to open this day, or they say kids were like sleeping on the floor. They said they were stealing food out of grocery stores to eat, and coaches were quitting because they weren't getting paid. Like, I'm like, what? I'm just waiting for the 30 for 30 for this. Somebody just needs to start pulling everything together for the 30 for 30 because this has got to go on it. Because what the heck is this? And then he has an active warrant, and I think they said something about like fraud and everything else you mentioned. Like, this is just like a complete just word I can't say on TV. Just no. It is a complete just. I don't understand how this happens. Like, if I'm IMG, I'm like, why are we playing these people? Because think about it, they could have injured themselves playing against people who don't belong playing against them. Like, this is just crazy. I don't know what else to say. It's just ridiculous and it's crazy and it's ludicrous. And I never thought I would ever hear something like this ever happen and play on national TV on ESPN. And nobody has a clue who these people are. Who paid for the uniforms? I just can't.
Look here, man. They weren't about to be IMG weren't about to be the only ones finesse. It was some local powerhouse teams that was on the schedule for Bishop Sycamore. It was one powerhouse in the WCAC. So they showed the schedule. So it was about to be bad.
Gosh.
Wilson.
Where's the 30 for 30?
Hey, one of my guys, shout out to Jesse Peel, he just retweeted on the timeline. He was like, "This is it was some meme or GIF or whatever, but it was Bishop Sycamore thing, and it was Netflix pulling up like, now we want all this. Netflix got Netflix documentary all over it. I don't know,
Somebody
man. This
said
is
that too. They thought they was gonna be on Netflix.
It's just another reminder, just the times that we're in, where people kind of just not like, just not doing a simple thing like just fact checking. There's no way, as Octavia said, there's a lot of words that come to mind. Trying to think of ones that could be used here. There was a failure at several levels for this to even happen. Like Cardell mentioned, IMG wasn't the only school that got. This happening and coming to light saved some other schools because it was a local team here, a couple other, highly ranked teams across the country, in the country, as far as prep football goes as well. And the biggest thing is like, man, how do you feel if you're that group and you got punched by IMG and some of the folks that are on the field are grown? I don't really have much, man. It's bad. I was trying not to laugh while y'all were talking because some of the highlights had me dying. There was like a really horrible shank punt. Like, how did this happen? Like, just you got it, Cardell. I'm good. I don't have anything.
Man, look, I'm with you. It's a reflection of the times where people are going above and beyond the clout chase, but don't want to do the necessary things to achieve a result of substance, man. And the fact that it got to the point where the worldwide leader can get finessed into broadcasting this type of game just shows you how far things have fallen, man. Come on, man. Like, okay, so I scout for a Nike event out of New York. Okay, I get referred to, regarding a lot of players refer to me all the time. The first thing I do is I go check them out if I don't know who they are, which is rare. So I'm like, okay, let me go check them out. I'm a Google. Google is your friend. Everyone has Google. How it's this worldwide leader that's getting paid a lot of money, have positions. How do you not Google? You got 7-1 D1 players. Okay, what are their names?
Exactly.
And then I'm immediately looking up. I don't see none of these players on. What are you talking about? They're not even in our database. They're not in our ESPN top 300. What are you talking about, man? Get this fool. Come on. And the sad part is, it's funny because I guess football, this isn't normal, but coming up in the basketball world, this is all day, every day. This is just it's sad. This is life. Wow, it's sad to say. Like, okay, so true story. Octavia played at Allentown, so she probably know about it. So it was a team we always had a good team. We always won a lot of games, but it was a team we could not beat to win a championship, and it was a team called Silver Hill. Okay. So one year we lost to them, right? They were our only loss. They were always just more physical and athletic than us for some reason. We couldn't beat them. So we lost to them. Okay. So we think we lost the championship. We went 11-1. They win the championship outright. Then Coach Westbrook called us all out like, yeah, we got the championship. We're like, we ain't even played the championship game. What's going on? Like, yeah, so we had to give it up, had a forfeit. And come to find out, these boys have 14, 15-year-olds playing against us, and we 11, 12 years old. That's how we got a boys and girls championship. So it goes on in basketball a lot. It goes on. That's how we won it. We ain't even have to play it. So they forfeited. We were undefeated. We got it. It happens a lot in basketball. So I guess for me, I'm numb to it. But it never got to the point where it's being broadcast on ESPN. Those teams don't get.
That's what point. Kills me. That's what we're talking about Boys and Girls Club that people were doing this.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you on ESPN. Jeez.
Yeah.
That was a prime time slot.
I'm like, if it was like this, we could have lied. I'm like, let's get a game with Oak Hill or something, man. You know what I'm saying? Like let's lie. I mean, right? It's just, but that's the clout chasing. Like they don't even fact check. Oh, you say you got that? Come on, just get them on. And it's, I mean, it's bad. It's beyond bad. And the fact that they trying to sweep it under the rug is like, nah, play. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing, man. So, and the fact that all these powerhouse teams fell for it too. What are y'all doing? I wouldn't even. How y'all getting on the schedule? You know what I'm saying? Man,
like, who are these people? Like, I don't understand it either. Like, it's literally driving me insane. Like, just play anybody. Like, just like, let's play this team. Bishop Sycamore. That sounds like a legit team. Play them.
And being a parent, I ain't let my kid play for no dude with warrants out, man. What the hell is going on here, man? Like, come on, dog. This dude might be about to go inside. Like, or could be fresh out. But unfortunately, that's normal basketball too, man. It's just a wild time, man. Like, man, it's wild.
I cannot wait to a documentary, man. I can't wait to the documentary. I need the inside scoop. Like, I need to know.
Talk to these grown men playing against high school players, dog. Like, what is going on,
dog?
Like, anything for time, I guess. Moving on to the next, obviously the big news of the day in the NFL: New England Patriots cut Cam Newton, Mac Jones to start. The New England Patriots, obviously, they released Cam Newton, turning things over to Mac Jones as a starter. Coach Bill Belichick has said repeatedly that Newton was the team's starting quarterback, but that he had to reestablish that position, or someone would have to play better than him. And honestly, in preseason, Jones did that. In Belichick's view, Jones finished the preseason 36 of 52 for 389 yards with 1 touchdown, no interceptions, playing 107 snaps. Easily the highest total among Patriots quarterbacks. Newton has started every preseason game, but didn't play as much overall. 39 snaps. He finished the preseason with 14 of 21 for 162 yards with 1 touchdown, 1 interception. What are your thoughts on Cam Newton being released? We'll start with you, Wilson.
I'm not too shocked. Unfortunately for him, like, you know, we think back to the last year, COVID's played a big part in his life in this last year. You know, last year had a bout with COVID where he started the season off playing well, came back from his bout with COVID, and he was not the same at all. You would think with what he went through last year that he would have been one of the, you know, first people to, you know, go get vaccinated this season to kind of better his chances, make sure he, one, to be healthy, and then two, to get through the year. Had that little thing where, you know, we've been talking about, they got two separate, kind of like two types of rules for NFL players right now, or two types sets of protocols for vaccinated and unvaccinated players. You know, and he had something going on, I think like the week, I think it was last week, the week before, where they had the joint practice with the Giants. So he missed the first day of the joint practice day, which is probably not a good look. You know, Matt got that full day of reps. And, you know, we saw what Bill said. This just isn't a shock. I don't think he was on firm enough ground to be able to overcome anything like missing time outside of it, like legit being an injury. So, yeah, I'm not too shocked. And Mac's Mac. Like, we know what Mac is. And at the place that they drafted Mac, like, it fits. Like, he's somebody with the type of system that they have. It should be fine. Like, he's going to execute it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know back when, you know, we were talking about the draft, you know, I never had an issue with Mac Jones. My issue was with Mac Jones at 3. Mac Jones at 15, that's a come up. So I think the Patriots got him at 15. I'm not mad at him at all. And that's why I felt like on draft day when they got him at 15, like, Cam, you one of the many vets in the league where, you know, they were flying first round quarterbacks. A couple of those guys get to start right away because of the type of teams they got drafted to. And for those other like 3, all you guys are on the shortest leashes. So, you know, your time's come. So, you know, it's Mac's time. That whole division, I think, has a whole bunch of youngsters now. We saw kind of like the whole page turn in that division. It's a youth movement where I think Josh Allen might be the vet. And, you know, he's like, it's like year 4 or whatever for him.
Yeah.
But like when you think about it, like the AFC East, like that whole page turn. So that's just that's where we are. You got Josh, Zach Wilson in New York, Tua in Miami, and now Mac in New England. And just honestly, like, it's not a shock, man. This offense and other thing with his weaknesses, they don't have any huge deep threats. So they're not gonna be doing stuff like wasting time, setting them up for failure, trying to throw the ball deep. You got a whole bunch of guys that work in intermediate. He'll distribute the ball, and it's exactly what they want. So I'm not mad at it at all, and very not surprised.
Octavia.
I agree. I wasn't surprised at so much the fact that Mac is the starter. I was a little bit surprised at the fact that he was completely released. Again, I want more information though. Like I really wasn't able to dive deeper into like the reasoning. A lot of things, like the first thing that comes to mind to me is just that Cam didn't want to be there. I think that they would give him that type of respect to say, he's our guy, and it's probably going to be difficult for you to sit behind him. But again, it goes back to, does Cam really believe, and is there ever going to be another chance for him to actually be a starter in the league? Because right now there's no clear-cut situation for him to walk into and be a starter. So I wonder if that's a conversation, with him coming out with the tweet where he says, I'm good, everything's good, all of that stuff. It kind of leads me to believe that. But he has to, unfortunately, listening to First Take this morning and listen to Harry Douglas talk about how he used Melo as an example, having to step back, put your ego aside, put your pride aside, and realize that, hey, this is where I am now. And wondering if Cam can actually be a backup for somebody, for somebody to go from being the 2015 MVP, he's 31, 32 years old now, and he's looking at nowhere to be a starter and backing up a rookie, in New England. So, there are reports already being, shopped around the Texans, the Cowboys, who again have released two of their quarterbacks. So they only have two in the quarterback room behind Dak Prescott, who we know is coming off the ankle injury as well as the shoulder injury. Could he end up there as a backup? But I think he's really going to have to sit down and be a backup somewhere. If not, he's going to have to bide his time to see how other people's situations work out. We know that there are a lot of new starting quarterbacks for a lot of teams in the NFL this year. So some of them have to sit back and see how it shapes up. We know that there's a huge injury spike going on, but Cam himself is going through a lot of injuries. They are already talking about the differences of vaccinated and unvaccinated people, although they do not disclose who is vaccinated and unvaccinated, but there are different protocols for both. So seeing how long somebody has to sit out because of, being around somebody who tested positive kind of gives you an inclination. And for him to be a backup as well, and having gone through COVID before, and we know how he reacted afterwards, maybe it just still wasn't a good idea for him to be a backup because he has to be there, if something were to happen to Mac, and maybe he's not dependable enough for that. But there's so many variables in my head of what could have happened. I really just want to know if it was something that Cam was, in agreement on. Maybe he has, other ideas of where he wants to be after knowing that he wasn't the guy. But I definitely think that the bigger part is that Mac just fits. He is a prototypical quarterback that we would see in New England. He's modeled behind me, Tom Brady. Of course, he's not Tom Brady, but he's that typical in the pocket passer that is going to work more with Bill Belichick has already established and Josh McDaniels has already established. And, they had to change a lot of their schemes and stuff last year because, Cam may not have a great arm or he may not be as accurate, but he was dynamic in running, but he wasn't able to really get that running last year. And so I think that the Patriots are just really going back to what they're known for, what they're comfortable with, and it just makes the most sense for them.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all, man. One thing we know about across the NFL, these coaches and coordinators do not like to adjust their systems. They want you to fit in perfectly and get the job done that way. When they got to adjust things, they get frustrated, they get irritated, and especially if you ain't performing or you ain't performing at a high level, they gonna look for replacements with the quickness. So you can't get be mad at it like Mikey Baldwin in the preseason. He earned a chance to start. We're gonna see what he does with it. Last question before we get out of here. Ben Simmons, tells the 76ers he wants out of Philadelphia. He's prepared to skip training camp. Obviously, the 76ers point guard, he was widely criticized for his performance in the playoffs, second round playoff matchup with the Atlanta Hawks. He was visibly, obviously bothered by what head coach Doc Rivers said and Joel Embiid said after they lost. He told Doc Rivers and president of basketball operations Daryl Morey last week that he doesn't want to play for the team anymore. and he does not tend to report to the training camp. Just what are your thoughts on that? We're gonna start with you, Octavia.
I'm not surprised. I thought it would have happened earlier, when it was kind of all still swirling around with the reports, with what Doc said after the game. With, of course, like you said, it was visible that he was scared to shoot the ball, all the deficiencies he has in his shooting. And we kind of know how things kind of work out for people who are having hard times in Philly. So I'm not surprised at all. We were already kind of in the process of, like, if it didn't really work out, when we blow it up anyway. So maybe this just sped up that process for them. I just think that he needs to go somewhere where he may not be the guy, but he plays an important role somewhere. He needs to go somewhere where there are already shooters, so he doesn't have that type of pressure on him. But I think he really needs to, fix his mentality as well, because no matter where he goes, like, this is going to follow him. People are going to know you're scared to shoot the ball if it comes down to it. So I think that's something he still has to develop within himself. But again, I'm not surprised that he doesn't want to be in Philly. I was more surprised that he never said anything until now, when everything was going on. I would have thought that would have been the time to do it, but maybe he needed time to process it all. Maybe he needed time to weigh all his options, but this doesn't surprise me at all. I'm just now interested to see where he ends up, because although, I say it's hard for him to be, I thought it was going to be hard for him to be the guy with Embiid in Philly because of his deficiencies in shooting. And it doesn't seem like anything he's doing is helping it. So I'll be interested to see where he ends up. I think he needs to end up on a team with some shooters where it takes the pressure off of him.
Oh, Wilson.
I feel like we all knew we were going to end up at this place at some point in time. With the Sixers, with the way they were going, with Ben specifically, like, he has to just kind of like, there's so many other things that he brings to the court, brings to the floor, that people kind of overlook because of the shooting issues. Like, yes, there's an issue. Yes, he needs to address it. Yes, he needs to get better at it. Also, there was no one else on that roster capable of hounding Trae Young and slowing that man down like he did. Their defense drastically changes with him off the floor. He's still a good facilitator. And again, a facilitator in that size and that package that he comes in is kind of crazy. He just got to get to, like, the Giannis mindset of what's the worst that could happen? Like, cool, I missed again. All right, cool, keep shooting. Or at least get to a place where you're not, like, even if you're not taking jumpers, don't be afraid to get to a place where you're comfortable going to the line at the very least. But again, like, I think we all saw this. We saw this coming. And for the Sixers, just, sometimes it's one of those things where, man, just in sports, again, corny cliche, sometimes you be careful what you wish for. I don't. If you do move him, because of the way things have transpired, I doubt you get full value for him. So, we'll see what happens. But I'm not shocked in the least bit.
That's why I think he ain't say anything. I think he didn't want to mess with the value with the situation, because he knew it was at all-time low, because he was scared to shoot in the playoffs or whatnot. I definitely agree with Octavia. At this point, he got to get his mental right before he even get the mechanics right, because your mechanics can be right and you still scared to shoot the ball when the pressure's on.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't the fact that he was scared to shoot jumpers, man. He was passing them dunks, dog. I'm like, yo. That shouldn't even be a thought. Like, I'm putting dudes in the basket. He's 6'10", super athletic. It's just crazy. But I don't blame him for not wanting to go back, man. Yeah, they lost. Yeah, that the weakness with him was glaring. But at the same time, he wasn't the only reason they lost, man. You know what I'm saying? Like what Doc Rivers said, like this your first year coaching him. Y'all don't have that type of relationship where you can, like, throw him under the bus like that. And Joel Embiid, man, that really was the stinker. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, hold on, man. You got to handle that situation where it's delicate. Like, all right, it's a problem, but he's our problem. We're not going to let the world get to him. We're going to handle this else. And I feel like they did a horrible job with that, man. You know what I'm saying? And, Joel Embiid, I get it, but you missed a lot of free throws. You turned the ball over. You was getting cooked by Collins. It's enough people to go around to all teams. The Sixers ain't lose because Ben Simmons was scared to shoot. They lost because of little details and stuff like that. And the Hawks would just play better. How about that? You feel what I'm saying? So, and yeah, Ben Simmons, In this social media world, you gotta have even more of a mentality like, excuse my language, fuck it and fuck them. You can't really worry about them and do you. You feel what I'm saying? Like he's too talented. Like that's really the only weakness in this game. It's just hitting shots from the perimeter. Everything else he does well. And like you said, Wilson, I'm tired of people saying relegating skill to only the offensive side. Defense is a skill. Passing is a skill. Rebounding is a skill, and he's elite at it. Think about it. He's a multiple-time All-Star, and he don't even shoot the ball. That's talented. That means he's affecting the game in a lot of ways. It's very few players that can do that in the history of the game, let alone in today's day and age. And in this day and age where you handicap defenders, so the offense can be more free-flowing, score more points, more exciting, bring in more fans, and he's still elite at it, and literally guard all 5 positions, and you want to throw that away, and you threw him under the bus, I'm like, okay. I mean, look, good luck trying to stop Trae Young, a hungry Trae Young next year. Good luck trying to stop a healthy Nets team. I mean, I'm just saying, good luck. Good luck dealing with Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert healthy. Like, there's some problems in the East, man. New York, they're gonna be pit. I'm just saying, good luck. Because all due respect to Seth Curry and those guys, Matisse Bull gonna strap. You know what I'm saying? He getting better, but outside of that, who on the perimeter gonna really get Danny Green? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But Danny Green was getting cooked by Trae. You know what I'm saying?
You saw how bad Seth was getting cooked. Seth was getting walked by. He's
look, dudes got the Trae Young flu. Then Ben had to go out there. So, hey man, like you said, be careful what you wish for.
That's all I'm saying is the value's low. There's a couple GMs just sitting around like, well, I've had this stash for a rainy day. Oh look, hark, a Ben Simmons here. Like,
is that a Ben Simmons?
You still got
yeah.
You still got to pay. And that's the thing. Hey, I got 2 second-round picks, some cash. He don't want to be there. Look, you got to move him.
You said you want somebody to shoot, right? Hey, look, here's a couple 35% three-point shooters. Here, give me the basketball player. Give me that. Give me the weapon. I need all of that. Like, they're tripping. And like you said, the biggest thing, and this is what's crazy, is I've never seen. I can't say never because, like Octavia said, Philly's Philly, not too shocked. But the way they handle this is you literally had one person be a scapegoat when somebody else is making a whole bunch of money on that team who somehow just flies under the radar when they, their contributions kind of lackadaisical. And just, there's another light-skinned dude on that front line that, 2 points here, 12 here. Where are you? Bobby and Toby, all that other crap, but y'all only see Ben. Like, come on, man, it's ridiculous. Like Cardell said, that was a failure as a group. It wasn't just one person. And honestly, if you took him off the floor, it would have been over quicker. Go ahead.
And one last point before we get out of here, going back, Philly ain't the town to go back when you say you don't want to be there and all that. It's just it ain't gonna be good for him. Like,
it's a wrap now.
You can't bring him back now because the city against him. Like he could ball. I mean, he could ball. They gonna like dog. They booed Kobe, and he from that area. When he came back and said he wanted to cut Philly's heart out in the finals, he's supposed to. They trying to win the championship. They booed him in the All-Star game, dog. Like. Philly ruthless, man. So yeah, you can't even bring it back even if you wanted to.
Nope. It's that ship has done sailed. I'm just interested in seeing where he lands and how this affects Philly going forward. Because as of right now, you don't have a great track record with things that you give up on. That's all I'm going to say. Things that you give up on and / mismanage or don't want. You got Markel. There's a Mikal Bridges over on the other side of the NBA. There's a Ben Simmons about to just, oh no, it's okay, don't need those. But I'm gonna mind my business. I'll just be here for the petty. When it happens, just know somewhere in Philadelphia, I am already laughing in advance. And it's gonna hurt. I guarantee it's gonna hurt. Because one of the things you can't say, they've had a lot of things with injuries or whatever. He wasn't the most injury-prone dude of the bunch that you've had. Mm-hmm. But another story, another day. Your business, not my problem. I'm gonna keep that moving. He was conditioned. He was in shape during the season. You ain't worried about that. But mind my business. That's y'all's problem now. But want to thank you guys for tuning in. As always, shout out to Ray for checking in for the Mrs. game. I appreciate Keith and Jamal Hayward this week as well. So for Octavia, Cardell, and myself, we will see you guys very, very soon. As a reminder, get over to dctv.org to check us out Friday nights at 10 p.m. And always get over to thefocustv.com. Just that simple. Y'all have a great night.